How to read once and never forget. How to read once and remember it forever. That's what I'm going to be telling you specifically in this class. And I want you to pay solid attention. Attention is the secret to distinction. Anything you don't pay attention to will never produce results for you. So I want you to sit down tight and follow me as I begin to unravel to you the secrets. The fact that some of you don't enjoy it currently does not mean it's not available. It's highly available. There are those people that don't waste time so much in reading. No. What other people are spending 3 hours to read, right, before they catch it, there are those that spend 20 minutes. 20 minutes, they are done. And they are out of there. And they remember it forever. How to read once and never forget, and you remember it forever. Follow me as I show you. There are some secrets that you must engage, and one of them is called active learning. There is what is called active learning, and there is what is called passive learning. Any learning that your spirit, your soul, and your body is not invested into it will never profit you. How do you think that sometimes you are reading and then you hold the book, right, or the textbook or the material, and you are there for 3 hours, you are trying to capture something, you are trying to understand it, but it's not just working. One of the secrets that you are not engaging is called active learning. The question is, what is active learning? Active learning simply means engaging deeply with the what? With the material. Active learning simply means you are pouring yourself into the material. You are not distracted by any external force. That's called active learning. Please, in active learning, what happens is this. You begin to highlight important concepts. You are asking yourself questions, relevant questions with respect to what you are learning. You are connecting deeply to what you are learning. That is called active learning. You are not distracted. Not the one you are thinking of, your yogurt that is in the fridge. You are thinking of, as mommy cooked. No. You are deeply invested into that which you are learning. That's called active learning. And don't forget this, that active learning means you reading it in such a way that you can explain it to a 5-year-old boy. You are explaining it to a 5-year-old baby, and the baby understands you. What are you engaging? Active learning. Anything that steals your attention will not produce active learning life in you. And I'd like you not to forget this. How will active learning benefit you? How active learning benefits you is this. It makes concepts that are difficult to understand very simple to you. It gives you that ability, right, to explain complex things in a simple way. As you are reading it, you are trying to communicate it to yourself, right, in the simplest way possible. And what happens is this. It begins to enhance and strengthen your memory, making it very much easier for you to remember. Please, what is number one technique? Active learning. Number two is what we call the use of mnemonics. In fact, let me tell you this. Medical students all over the world, they know that you can't learn anatomy, you can't learn physiology, you can't learn biochemistry without you using your what? Your mnemonics. Law students know you can't excel without using mnemonics. Students in various fields, you can't excel without the use of mnemonics. The question is, what are mnemonics? Mnemonics are memory aids. Mnemonics are memory boosters that use association to make complex information easier to recall. Information that is so complex, right? You have broken it down by the use of mnemonics. Mnemonics can be in the form of songs. Mnemonics can be in the form of acronyms. Mnemonics can be in the form of rhymes. It can be in the form of anything, right? But it's making complex information very easy for you to recall. And because it is making complex information easy for you to recall, it helps to improve your memory. Are you understanding me now? And don't forget this. For example, in biology, right, there's what we call your annelids, which are invertebrates. Follow me. Let me just show you how powerful mnemonics are. How do you define annelids? Annelids are bilaterally symmetrical coelomates, triploblastic metazoans, right, with metameric segmentation of the body. Now, this looks somehow big, but it's very simple. How do I use mnemonics to communicate this to myself? For example, what I can do is this. Okay, bilaterally, B, symmetrical, S, coelomate, C. So I can write my BSC. Here you see. Triploblastic metazoans, TM, traditional marriage. Metameric segmentation, MS. If you ask most ladies, what do you want to do in life? You will hear things like, I want to first and foremost go and get my what? My BSc. After BSc, I will pause first. I'll go and do my what? Traditional marriage. Before I'll go and pursue my master's degree. You have defined annelids by the use of what? Mnemonics. Annelids are what? Your bilaterally symmetrical coelomates, triploblastic metazoans with metameric segmentations of their what? Body. Simple. This is the power of mnemonics. What will mnemonics do for you? How will it help your life? Don't forget this. By using mnemonics or rhymes or songs, right, it enhances your ability to recall or remember. Because you are using mnemonics, what happens? It begins to boost your retention capacity, right? And anything that boosts your retention capacity make your ability to forget very difficult. These are the ways that you learn once and you never forget. In fact, that definition of annelids, if I ask you now as an art student, you discover that you will not forget it. You just remember BSc, traditional marriage, master's degree, and you have gotten it. Very easy and direct. And don't forget this very quickly. That mnemonics is what breaks complex information into simpler and more digestible pieces for you. So mnemonics is one powerful tool that we always engage in order for you to read once, right, and never forget again in life. Number 3 method is what we call spaced repetition. What did I call it? Spaced repetition. Now, the question is, what is repetition? Repetition is key to retention. One of the sound and powerful key to retention is called the word repetition. A good example of places where you see repetition so much, right? For those of you offering CROS, you keep hearing things like, verily, verily, I say unto you. Why can't you just use verily? You see, verily, verily, rejoice. Again, I say unto you, rejoice. Why are you repeating it? Repetition is key to retention. In other words, as you are studying, when you catch one definition, keep saying it. Sir, I know it. It's in my mind. You don't know it. Whatever you cannot boldly say, you don't know it. Whatever you cannot boldly say, you don't know it. If you know it, you will vocalize it. And you vocalizing it at times, by the time you are done reading, right? I'm going to get to that point shortly. When you close the book, you begin to walk around. What are you doing? You are trying to vocalize that which you have said. You are repeating it over and over again. You are sedimenting it into memory. Are you getting it now? And don't forget this very quickly, that one of the ways you make repetition powerful in you is this. It's not enough to just read it today and just leave it like that. No. You try again to recall it after one day, like the next day. Try to sit down, right? And you are asking yourself that what I read yesterday. You are trying to pull some of those definitions. You are trying to remember some of these concepts. 3 days later, you try it again. After 1 week, you try it again. What happened? It begins to sediment those things in your inside. And don't forget that how repetition helps you is this. Very simple. It strengthens the neural connections in your brain. Wired in your brains and nerve cells or neurons, right? Repetition is what strengthens those neurons in your brain. And it makes information very easier to recall after a single read. If I tap you now tomorrow morning, right? and I ask you what are annelids, you remember your what? Your BSc, right? You remember your traditional marriage, and you remember master's degree. Very easy. And don't forget this very fast. That one strong, powerful thing about repetition is this, especially spaced repetition. You read it today, you are trying to recall it after some days. What happens is this, it begins to transfer those informations that are in your short-term memory. Because when you read once, it's in your short-term memory. As you start to recall them, what happened? It is being transferred from that short-term memory into long-term memory. Anything that enters into your long-term memory has been grafted there forever. Now, let me ask, do you remember that back then in primary school, there were some definitions you learned that you can't even forget it till now? There were some poems that you learned then, right? That till now you still remember them. Why? Mnemonics, repetition. These are the things that have sedimented them in your inside. And these are the ways for you to learn once and never forget. And I will beg you, regarding the fourth way, right, by which you are going to learn and never forget, it is called your visual learning. What is it called? Visual learning. Visual learning is more like mind map. What does it involve? Very simple. It involves you creating diagrams, right, charts or pictures of that which you are reading in your mind. In other words, as you are studying, you are creating scenarios. You are creating images. You are playing videos in your mind. You are creating pictures in your mind. It is called mind map. What will mind map help you to do? It will help you to visualize information. Imagine you are reading atom. You don't even know what atom is. You are trying to play a picture of it in your mind. Are you getting it now? Now, you are trying to play a picture of it in your mind. That's why I will encourage visual learnings like this. Are you with me? The reason is because it is so difficult for you to forget. Why? Because the video of it keep playing in your mind even after the lecture is over. Are you getting me now? And how will visual learning help you? Visual learning will help your brain to form strong association. Visual learning will help your brain to form strong association. There are some things you have learned in this class. As you sit down, sometimes you just smile. Oh, I learned it here. Are you getting it now? And it makes forgetting very difficult. It makes your ability to recall very, very much easier. Are you getting it now? Another way you can learn once and never forget is called chunking. It's called what? Chunking. Some of you want to choke yourself with so much information. How will you sit down and you carry one full textbook? I used to have a friend like that in the university back then. It was my roommate, right? The guy will not start reading at the beginning of the semester. No, he won't. When will he start learning? He will start learning like 2 days to exam. He will carry one full textbook and then he will say, I'm going to night class. I'll finish 7 chapters this night. Then when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'll gun down 7 chapters. They play. If you must remember that easily, which you have read, what will you apply? Chunking. What is chunking? Chunking is a memory technique. And it simply involves you breaking large amount of information. You are breaking them down into smaller particles. These smaller particles are what we call chunks. What happens when you take one full textbook? I'm not going to read the entire textbook at once. No, it's not possible. I will start with chapter 1. In chapter 1, you start to break them into units, right? Let me understand this first, and then I'll move into this. That's called chunk. And it is these chunks, right, or quanta in chemistry, it is called quanta. Those quanta are the simple units that the brain picks easily. So, how do you study once? This is one key way. How do you study once and never forget? Break them into chunks. I am preparing for JAMB. How do I study once and never forget? What do? Break it into chunks. Not the one you sit down. I want to finish 4 chapters in government. Just they play. Break them into what? Quanta. break them into what? Chunks, and pick it up from there. And don't forget this very quickly, that how chunks will help you is this. Instead of you trying to memorize one full entire chapter from a textbook, no, divide it into smaller sections, one step at a time. One step at a time. That's how you win the race. And don't forget this, that your brain processes smaller chunks more efficiently than you trying to cover the entire textbook at once. And that is what will lead to what? Better retention for you. And another sweet way is you creating study triggers. How do you create study triggers? I applied this back then very well when I was preparing for JAMB. Creating study triggers. What does it involve? It means you linking your study sections to specific stimuli. You linking your study sections to specific signals. Like a good example is you have a particular place where you study. You have made up your mind though that every time by 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. I'll start reading. And you stick to it. There are those of you that love reading with what? Music. There are those that can't even survive it. There are those that love it so much. When it comes to them solving mathematics, all they just need is music. Cool blues. And then they are going. Man, use any method that work well for you. But please, in you creating study triggers, in my university days, especially back then in my 100 level, right? There is one location where we usually sit down to study. Every day, 7 p.m. we are there. And then we'll begin to study from that 7 to like 10, 11 p.m. before returning to the hostel. Do you know what happens to you? By the time it's getting close to 7 p.m., what happens? Your brain begins to tell you, your body begins to release chemicals that start to signal you, right, that it is time for you to go and study. So, you creating study triggers, what will it do to you? It will boost your memory. Please, these are cardinal practical ways you must apply. How will it help you? How will it help your study life? These triggers, they are reminders. They are reminders for your brain that it is time to focus and get yourself into studies. Another study hack is called association techniques. What is it called? Association technique. In association technique, what does it mean? I want you to note this. That first, association in life is powerful. Who you follow determines what follows you. Who you listen to determines whether people will listen to you in life. Who you hear is a determinant factor of whether you will be heard in this life. All of these things matter. But please, let me throw this weight in another light of association. I want you to note this, that as you begin to study, right, develop means where you can link new information to something you already know before. In other words, you are connecting new knowledge to something you already familiar with. For example, how does this equation apply? How does these previous equations have learned, right? How do they solve this particular problem I'm facing right now? You see, these things are very, very much common, especially in calculation courses, things like physics, chemistry, and so on, mathematics, and so on and so forth. And another big thing is this. How does association technique, how will it help you? How does it help you? Very simple. Don't forget this, that in creating associations, right, like you relating one math formula. For example, you are walking by the road. I don't know whether it happens to you at times. You begin to ask yourself, how does the first law of motion apply? Right? How does the first equation, the second equation of motion, how do they apply in my movement? In other words, you are trying to bring them into real life scenarios. Your ability to use that which you have learned to solve real life practical questions. What do? They help in boosting your memory. They help in strengthen your memory. Are you getting it now? And number 8, which is the last but not the least, teach what you learn. One powerful way, right, by which you can retain information powerfully well is your ability to teach that which you are learning. Catch your younger brother sitting down and begin to explain to him that which you are learning. Catch your younger sister, sit her down. If it's your grandma, I just learned this in government. You are trying to explain it to her. If there is nobody to explain to, Carry your landlord, sit him down, begin to explain to him. Sit him down and begin to explain it to him. Sit anybody down, begin to move around and begin to recall those definitions that you have stored. What happens? It makes forgetting very, very difficult. These are the ways to read once and never, ever forget. And how teaching helps you is this: very simple. Teaching will force you to recall the material that you have read. It will force you to recall the information you have read, but now in a more organized way, so that you can explain it in such a way that it makes sense. Because anything you say you know that you cannot explain in a way that it makes sense, you don't know it. So what teaching does is that it cements it in you. It must not be a formal form of teaching, right? Carry your dog, sit the dog down, begin to explain it to the dog. Just begin to explain it. What are you doing? You are trying to build up something in you, and that is your memory. You are trying to build up your ability to never forget again, and it will help you in every singular thing that you are doing. Are you with me? If you understand these 8 techniques I've given you, I want you to begin to apply them practically in your daily life. Are you getting it now? Begin to apply it practically in everything you do day by day. And very importantly, this is for those preparing for JAMB. If you are a JAMB student preparing for JAMB, I want you to know these are one very cardinal thing that will help you, right? Beside you reading your textbooks, if these things are in visual format, it's going to help you so well. And that's why you have your LearnLift app. What is it called? LearnLift app. LearnLift app. Go to your Play Store or your App Store and download the LearnLift app, where you start learning. Your video lessons are there for every singular topic, every singular chapter in all your courses. The video lessons are already there for you. Aside the video lessons, CBT, JAMB CBT, whether it's JAMB or WAEC, they are there for you. Another important thing, your notes are there for you, well organized with past questions. Everything, topic by topic, well detailed for you. You are watching the classes, you are smiling, you are following, you are catching them. You will never forget these things. Are you with me? And this is how the interface of the app look like. All your subjects are there for you. Just download the LearnLift app from your App Store or Play Store and you start following immediately. But guess what? The next teaching I'm going to be seeing you in the next episode, I'll be telling you how to beat procrastination. Because one major problem a lot of you have is procrastination. How do you beat procrastination in your life and stay consistent in studying? In the next episode, I'm going to be showing this to you. But please, very importantly, for those of you seeking university admission, you want to study abroad, probably UK, US, Canada, India, Australia, whether to medical courses, to engineering, you want to study IT, technology, anything at all, feel free to WhatsApp us right on this number that is displaying currently, and then we're going to attend to you. And very importantly, for scholarships, ensure you are part of our social media handles, right? Yes, follow us on our Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, all our social media handles. Ensure you are part of our community so that as scholarship opportunities are dropping, we are informing you. There are a lot of scholarships to travel abroad, right? We'll be keeping you updated. And don't also forget to chat us up directly on our WhatsApp line. I will be there to attend to you directly. For the now, bro, peace out. Bye-bye.